Hello and welcome to another edition of the TimeFlies podcast. I'm your host, Dario. And if you are watching this on YouTube, you can see that we got one half of the BX boys. Jeff, you are here in spirit. We love you, my guy. But Rainer, my guy, is here. What up,
Yes,
boy?
sir. What's
Been?
happening? What's happening? We here, baby. We here for a good occasion. There's big things happening. I haven't seen you in a bit. We haven't talked in a bit. We caught up. It's good to see you happy. It's good to see you good. And the timing is immaculate. You already know what times it is, man. We're here for a reason.
Yeah, we're here for several reasons. We're going to start off talking about pretty much the summer blockbuster, Deadpool and Wolverine. But before we get into it, Rainer, I want to ask you one important question. Is Marvel back?
Marvel is back, baby. I might be listening or looking at this like, yo, you're speaking too soon, but it's the feeling. It's like you can't explain it. Like the talk, people, everybody's going to see this. Everybody's talking about it.
Facts.
Everybody loves it. The timing right before San Diego Comic-Con, things like the feeling is back. Like I found myself like just thinking about the movie a lot since I first watched it. And I told you I just came from seeing it again this morning. Like I haven't had this feeling, man. I haven't had this feeling and like looking forward to like what's coming next, but just like staying present and enjoying a movie that they've made the amount that I do enjoy this movie. Yeah, it's
Yo, I want to get into I just want to talk about all the cameos right away. But now we're gonna ease into it. We're gonna ease
yeah,
into
yeah, we got to, bro.
100%. So you said something that popped out to me. So first and foremost, yo, dog, I didn't even know that this weekend was gonna be San Diego Comic-Con. Like honestly, my mind was so like wrapped up in just trying to get to the movies to watch Deadpool and Wolverine that I didn't even think that Kevin Feige and like the whole Marvel team, like this was 100% set up on purpose. Like we're gonna get Deadpool and
Absolutely.
Wolverine just to open up the weekend, and then we're gonna go into San Diego Comic-Con, and which we'll talk about later. And then San Diego Comic-Con is its own thing that like, yo, it was just perfectly timed, perfectly executed. But let's start at the beginning. Let's start. Okay, obviously we're going to be talking about Deadpool and Wolverine. And for the listeners and for the viewers, what I want to do is I want to set up Deadpool and Wolverine before we get into it. I want to talk specifically, I want to talk about Deadpool 2 because Deadpool 2, I thought they were going to be like, they were really going to be depending on Deadpool 2's plot in order to go into Deadpool and Wolverine. Because in Deadpool 2, Cable is introduced, and Cable is introduced because he's using this time altering machine that's letting him go into the past and fix things, obviously. So I thought the plot was going to be TVA looking for Deadpool because of Deadpool using Cable's time altering machine. So, and then obviously, as the movie starts and as the movie's going along, I'm like, oh, this is not even like they're not even touching that. Like it's not that they're ignoring it, but it's like they're not even touching it. So then as I'm watching this, I'm like, oh shit, like what okay, like what kind of movie am I getting into? But yo, Deadpool 2 after Deadpool 1, like I was super underwhelmed. I actually just watched Deadpool 2 like maybe a 2, 3 months ago. And the feeling that I had for Deadpool 2 was just like, I was like, yo, this is just more of the same. Like, I get it. Deadpool's character is very, jokes, quippy, and obviously breaking the fourth wall. So I get that they were depending on that, but I just wanted something a little bit more to Deadpool 2. And that was only the second time I watched it. The first time I saw it in theaters, and the second time I watched it was a few months ago. And I just felt like they didn't add anything to the story. So going into Deadpool and Wolverine, I was a little like, I mean, I was excited because of Hugh Jackman, obviously, and we actually got to see Hugh Jackman in the Wolverine suit. But I wasn't like, okay, this movie is gonna fix Marvel, obviously. I wasn't like, just gung ho. I was like, okay, like I'm gonna go in with a little just a hesitance. I knew there was gonna be cameos, but I didn't know what cameos were gonna be. It could have been a complete flop with the characters that they chose to show. But I wanted to get your thoughts on specifically Deadpool 2 going into Deadpool and Wolverine about like what you heard about like the plot going into the movie. Were you excited? Were you a little nervous?
Very similar to you. I was underwhelmed with Deadpool 2. From the moment I walked out the theater, I actually went to like a free screening, a fan screening.
Dope.
I was super excited. And I'm watching it and I'm just like, all right. And there were elements that were good, and I could see that they were trying to make it like hit like the first one. Like
Yeah.
they relied on Vanessa again, right? Like
Right.
a little bit more. They added X-Force and things like that. Like that added an element of comedy. It added familiar characters with Cable and Domino.
Of course.
Had Negasonic is super like elite now. She has her girlfriend. You got Colossus. Like they incorporate even Dopinder, right? Like he had a bigger role. So like they brought in what you liked from the first one, try to build on it, but added like a little bit more, but very much try to keep him the same because Fix was not broken, right?
Right.
So I think that is what like we both felt from there. It's just like it's very similar, but a big thing for me is like which I got from the first one and this third one, the jokes. Like he's
Yeah.
rapid fire. And I would laugh, 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 laugh. There was a couple in the second one that fell flat for me, whether it was like not his fault because I didn't understand the reference, or I was just like, okay. But like those were like big elements to me that make me love Deadpool and Ryan Reynolds, right? Because Deadpool literally is Ryan Reynolds.
The
That's what
fucking god,
match made
bro.
in heaven is the perfect marriage. Like God bless that man, bro. Like we owe a lot to him for like he fought a lot for this character, bro. He came a
Facts.
long way and like look where they at now. So
Facts.
big,
Marvel
big kudos
Jesus.
to him and his team, bro. I liked it, but like I always said one was better. And then
100%.
going into this one, I
Yeah.
think we talked about it some time ago. We were like, yo, the future's riding on this one. After seeing it, I'm just like, yo, the way the stars just aligned is insane. Like, especially after today, watching it again, how they did certain things. And I was just like, yo, this shit was just meant to happen this way. And to your point about thinking about the TVA hunting him down because of the time machine,
Yeah.
they quickly brushed that shit off in Marvel in Marvel ways, bro. Paradox,
Paradox, yeah.
which we will talk about. He briefly says because Deadpool mentions it, he's like, "Yo, you after me because of that?" He's like, "No, we know what you did with that little.
Yeah.
I want you for this reason." So like for them to give him a purpose still in like this universe and the grand scheme of things tied to what the plot was, like it was just it
Facts.
was chef's kiss, bro.
So going back to how you were saying how we've talked offline and how like a lot was riding on this movie, we got to keep it a buck, bro. Like we were talking in the group chat yesterday with our guy Jeff, shout out Jeff, but we were
Facts.
talking about just like we were talking about just how Marvel has shit the bed. I mean, shit the bed might be a little bit too intense, but
Right, right.
they haven't done a good job since Endgame.
The
You were talking,
feeling. That's what
yeah,
I'm
yeah,
talking about.
right. The feeling just wasn't there. And you can make the argument that in order to get that feeling from the first 10 years, like that was going to be impossible. So they tried to go a little bit left field with all these different type of projects, with the Eternals, with Echo, with Moon Knight. Like I get what they were trying to do. They're just trying to separate themselves from the first 10 years, which is commendable. But at the same time, I just felt like they veered too far left. And yeah, man, just the projects that were coming out before this. Like we had the Marvels that came out like last October, I believe. To me, that movie was super like whatever. The best part of that was the post-credit scene where we see Beast. That was crazy. And then after the Marvels, we had Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3,
Oh,
which
yeah, yeah, those both came out last year. Correct, correct.
yeah,
Yeah.
I might get the sequencing wrong, but as far as like just the projects that came out before this, Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3 came out, but the Marvels came out. Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3 is a solid movie, but that's the end of the Guardians of the Galaxy as we know it. So we're not going to see them anymore. And then before Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3, obviously we had No Way Home, but No Way Home was so far long ago that it's like it feels many moons ago.
Oh,
But
yeah, yeah.
basically what I'm trying to say is that like yeah, man, what you're saying is right. Is that like the whole Marvel universe was kind of depending on Deadpool and Wolverine. And going into this movie, like when was it? When was it that Hugh Jackman and Ryan Reynolds? When did they like make that announcement? I remember like Hugh Jackman and Ryan Reynolds were on a couch,
That
and
was
Hugh Jackman
2022, bro. I won't forget it.
that
I
was
was at work 2022. I think it was September.
okay. Okay, September. I'm bugging. I thought it was like around the Super Bowl. So whatever. Okay, so September. So automatically, when we see that, our minds are automatically going to what the fuck are they gonna do about Logan? Disney acquires 20th Century Fox, so we know that Marvel and Disney they're gonna do some crazy shit. But fans of Logan were like, yo, that was the perfect ending for Wolverine, for Hugh Jackman. So we knew that they were gonna try and like pull some shit out of their ass, which gets to the movie. finally gets to the movie. Let's get to Deadpool Wolverine. Okay. So seeing how you just saw it a couple of hours ago, I'm gonna give a brief summary of the plot, and if you see any hiccups, please jump in and correct me. The movie starts out with after the events of Deadpool 2, Ryan Reynolds, obviously Deadpool, he's trying to join the Avengers, and we get our first cameo of Happy Hogan.
Yes,
So
sir.
so Ryan Reynolds and Deadpool's talking to Happy Hogan, and he's basically telling him like why he'd be an essential part of Avengers and how he's looking to become some sort of part of a team. But Happy Hogan, he turns him down. And then when he turns down Deadpool goes into like a huge funk. He doesn't know who he is. He's trying to find out like what his purpose is, right? Him and Vanessa are not together, so he can't really depend on his relationship with his girl. And then that's where the TVA comes into play. So the TVA comes into play and they're recruiting Deadpool. Well, Paradox, the leader of a certain section of the TVA, he recruits Deadpool and he's basically telling him like, "Yo, everything you've been feeling for the last few years, like you're right. You're special. You have a purpose. And what we want you to do is this is where I'm having a little bit of a hiccup. What did they want him to do again specifically?"
Yo, so it's funny because I was paying super extra attention because this happened to me too. So it was weird because remember, Paradox has his own agenda. He has the Time Ripper machine, and he's trying to essentially cancel out or bring back the pruning system, which is kind of like dismantling certain beings and things like that. So
Okay.
I think with Deadpool being like the one of a kind, it was weird because he brings up Logan and he brings up how Logan was the anchor being.
Right. He's
He's
the anchor
like,
being for basically the 20th Century Fox timeline.
correct. So with that, with him dying, Deadpool's universe was about to be.
Destroyed,
So
right.
he was trying to use him and that to be like, yo, if you do this, I'll save your universe. But I can't remember exactly like because it was a lot. It was a lot of words and it was like a lot of like
Nice.
multiversal stuff, which for some reason always flips me over. I'm like, all right, what's going on here?
All right, so this is what I have in my notes, and I guess if you want to roll with this, let me know. So Wade Wilson goes into a funk until the TVA comes calling, and they offer him a job to join the Marvel timeline. But in order to do that, it would include destroying his timeline. And then I said that he needs help from Wolverine in order to not let his timeline die. And that's when he goes to the graveyard of Logan, but obviously Logan is dead, and he's hella dead. He's like decrepit and all that. So Deadpool thinks on his feet, and Deadpool is like, okay, I can't use this Wolverine, but let me use the TVA machine and let me go into another universe to see if I could recruit another Wolverine to bring back to my timeline to help
Yeah,
save my timeline. I feel like that's what happens. Am I
yeah,
kind of
yeah, yeah.
off? Okay.
No, that is exactly what happened. Yeah.
Okay, so then Deadpool recruits a Wolverine from one of the timelines, and he brings him back to his universe. And
And I guess we'll go into details after we talk to the plot. After he goes and finds this Logan, he
mhm,
tries to convince him, like, yo, they can fix yours if you help me save mine. Because both of their, like, it was the perfect thing, too, because this Logan lost everything that mattered to him, and Deadpool's on the verge of,
Verge.
so he's just like trying to get him to be like, yo, I know what that's like, but that's not how Deadpool is explaining it or thinking it, but I know that's because
Okay.
they show elements throughout all three movies. Like Wade has very much, he's an emotional being. He has feelings. He cares about things. He just masks it with this personality of his, right? So it was the perfect like marriage with them two. So that's how he convinced Logan to get
Nice.
that shit done. But then they get pruned into the void.
The Void.
Yeah.
Perfect. And then within the movie, we learn more about the Wolverine, about the Logan that we're seeing in front of us. We're learning more about like what happened in his universe. And we're learning that like he's basically the reason why the X-Men completely were killed off in his universe. He's a loner. He never wanted to be part of the team. He's still the alcoholic that he's in basically every universe. But But yeah, and and then we'll get into a little bit later as to like why we finally see him wear the fucking suit that we've been wanting to see him wear since the origins of X-Men back in 2000. But going back to the Void. Okay. So now you summarized it perfectly. So they get pruned, which brings them into the Void. And in the Void, how would you describe the Void? It's basically where everything goes that is like It's where everybody goes that isn't able to end their story from their universe. Is that kind of how would you explain it in your own words?
Yeah, I think I like how you put it, right? It's very much them getting pruned into this limbo area
Like
where,
purgatory.
yeah,
Uh-huh.
because the TVA didn't see any value for them.
Mm.
But you ask the characters are very much like, yo, we were fighting for our shit. We wanted to stick around, but they ain't fuck with us. So they knew we were rebellious. So they sent us down here, which was super fire.
I'm
But yeah,
dead.
I think like very much that. It's just this empty space of, for lack of a better term, this dump for characters and people that the TVA saw no value for that would have survived whatever they were putting them through in their universe.
Also, we should mention how, as audiences, this is not our first time of seeing the Void because we've seen the Void a few times within the Loki seasons, in season one and season two, I believe. So we're a little familiar of like what we're going to be able to see in the Void. But in this movie, Deadpool and Wolverine, they fucking kick it up like 3,000 notches as far as like what is actually in the Void.
Yeah.
And of course, Rainer, I'm gonna give you the honors of telling me what is the first character that we see in the Void.
Before we get to the first character really quick, I just remembered that fucking sick ass intro fight with
Oh, facts,
Deadpool
facts.
Logan. I lost it when fucking Hugh Jackman got on his and started like crawling towards him. I was like, oh shit. That was like the first sign of like this is a different Wolverine, bro. And he already had the suit and everything. Gorgeous, gorgeous, beautiful fight. All the fights, we'll get to them. But after that, as Daryl mentioned, we see our first character in the void, right? And it's none other than a cloaked being. He's tall,
Bro,
Deadpool. It's a
the
cloaked
fucking
being.
tease right now is crazy.
It's a clone being, and because I gotta restore, I gotta give the feeling that we had, yo.
I love it.
Because
I love
everybody's
it.
gonna listen to it, they already saw it, but like I gotta bring it
Facts.
back to get people hyped. So it's a cloak being, and Deadpool's like, yo, it's him. And Logan's like, who the fuck is that, bro? First of all, I love Logan cursing over and over again. It was fucking perfect. So he lands, and Deadpool's like, yo, it's him, blah, blah, blah. Somebody starts talking, and we all recognize the voice. We don't know who it is. So he walks, turns over, removes the hoodie, and it's Captain America. Cap is talking. He's like, they're coming. They're this way. Blah, blah. And then Deadpool is like, yo, who's them? And then he points them out. And then he braces himself. And Deadpool's hyping. He's like, yo, he's about to say it. He's about to say it. He's like, Avengers? Chris Evans says, flame on. And he
Yeah.
loses it. Yo.
You know how
Yo.
like they caught me though, bro, because I thought it was because before he jumps down from whatever the fucking tower or whatever he was on, they show his like wrist, and his wrist is wearing like blue and white, and I think there's like a
Yeah.
hints of red on it.
Yep.
And I'm like, no fucking way. They're doing Steve Rogers in the void. And then he jumps to the floor, he takes off his cloak, like you said, and we're still not seeing his like the Fantastic Four patch on his
Right.
chest. And then he says flame on, and I'm like, oh yo, dude, that shit's
That's
fire, dog.
from rip. And it was funny because I'm watching him after he like reveals himself, and I'm just like, something's different about him though. And I was just like, yo, something's different, bro. Like this is like not your average cat, but maybe like we've already been built into the multiverse and variants and shit
Right,
like
right,
that.
right, right, right.
And I'm just like, yo, but something's different, bro. But you don't piece it, right? Because you don't know what's going on. You don't know where they at. You don't know. Even though we saw the 20th Century Fox sign, like the hint was there,
Right,
but you
right.
don't piece it. And then when the whole theater goes ape shit, bro. It was
Yeah, nah.
incredible.
In the void, before we get introduced to fucking Johnny Storm, Deadpool and Wolverine, they have a fight. And
Yep.
it's like their first like, oh shit, we're finally gonna be able to see Deadpool or Wolverine. And I just wanted to mention that because like Deadpool, he breaks the fourth wall and he's talking to the audience and he's like, oh, this is what you guys fucking came to see. Like, let's get it
Yep.
on, bitch. And
Yep.
fucking and Wolverine and Deadpool, yo, dog, it's.
LFG, baby. Let's fucking go.
Dog, it was just everything, yo. They did everything perfect, bro. They know what the audience
Yes.
wanted to see. They know when to put it into the movie. They know what to follow it up with. Like, okay, you guys,
Yes.
okay, we just finished giving you Deadpool and Wolverine. What we're gonna do right after that? Let's go right into the scene where we introduce you to fucking Johnny Storm. And then after Johnny Storm, let's go into the scene where we introduce the fucking baddie of the movie, fucking Cassandra.
Sandra?
Cassandra, and then we learn that Cassandra is actually she is the sister of Professor Charles Xavier, but while Professor X's mom was pregnant with him, Cassandra was a twin in the womb, and then Professor X, he basically overtook Cassandra. I mean, and she never was born, and then we never got to meet her, which is kind of how she ended up in the void. And I
Yeah.
wanted to ask you, yo, do you know if that's an actual comic book storyline that actually exists?
I'm actually not sure, bro, because I like when watching it, I was like, yo,
It has to
it's
be.
legit shit, but yeah, it should be, bro. It should be because
It
like
has to be.
I know
Yeah.
when they like revealed her picture and stuff like that, that she was gonna be in the movie, like people were talking about it. So,
Mm,
and honestly, bro, like I'm not surprised at them, like if one of the writers had Xavier having a sister. So he's
right.
such a big character, bro, to like add another element to his story and who he is.
Right.
Like you gotta add a sibling there eventually.
100%. And throughout the whole movie, they're teasing a lot of shit. And the way they introduce Cassandra is we see her sitting in a chair. She's bald, and we only see the back of her head. So we think it's Professor X or some variant of Professor X. And
Yeah.
then they reveal it's a girl, and then we get the backstory. And basically,
Chuck.
Cassandra, like her motivation, she wants to stay in the void because she likes the void. She likes being the leader of the void, and she never wants to
Mhm.
leave. And we also get to find out that Paradox is trying to keep her in the void, but now Deadpool and Wolverine, they're pretty much fucking up the whole like hierarchy of everything. We see that her powers are pretty much the same as Professor X, but she's just like a darker version. She's able to read people's minds, but she has to literally put her hand into your head, and then you
Yeah.
see throughout the movie that she's like playing with the person's brain, she's playing with the person's eyeballs, and it's like,
Mhm.
yo, the scenes that she was in, the actress and the actual character, they were very like intense and dark, and
Yeah.
you could see how much like pain the person is in when she's reading the person's mind. She did it to
Yeah.
Logan, she did it to Paradox. I think she did it to Deadpool as well.
Yep.
And I definitely want to commend the actor and just the writers of bringing that character to life.
How Deadpool was playing on her. He's just like Chuck. He kept calling her Chuck, like instead of
Oh
Charles.
yeah.
It
I
was
forgot
great.
about
And
that.
then there's the scene when they're on the way to what their lair is, which is Ant-Man,
Oh, okay, okay, okay,
Giant
okay.
Man,
Right,
like a dead corpse of Giant Man, which is kind of cool.
right.
And and obviously the RIP, the death of my man Johnny Storm.
Oh yeah. And the way
Obviously,
he
Johnny
dies
Storm.
is fucking crazy.
Insane, bro. Insane. It was an introduction to the villain, to the enemies as well, because
Right.
you had Toad, you had Pyro, you had Sabretooth. Fucking I love what they did with Logan and Sabretooth. Really quick. Y'all wanted this? This is why we didn't give it to you. This is why. This is what would have
Facts.
happened. So it was great. They escape the lair at that point, right? Because
Elias?
yes,
Yeah,
yes.
Elias.
Live was coming through, which we also saw in Loki, episode
Loki.
season 1, episode 5, like Deadpool said.
Oh, right, right, right.
Said, is that alive from Loki season 1, episode 5? Logan finds the Sentinel leg and gets up out of there with Wade.
Okay, and then they land in some random ass spot in the void. They get to meet a variant of Deadpool who's actually Ryan Reynolds, which that's fucking funny. Um, but no, it's something else that I want to mention before we keep talking about the movie is just how like you mentioned how we see all the bad guys. We see Toad, Pyro. We get the nod to the 20th Century Fox villains. But we also get to see fucking the Blob from X-Men Origins, Wolverine,
Yep.
the really fat boxer. Yes, that's his name, Azable, and he's like the Nightcrawler in the X-Men First Class movies. That shit was fire. So
OD.
did you see how I think her name is Deathstroke. Deathstroke was there,
Oh yeah, yeah.
but it
Lady
wasn't the same
Deathstroke,
actress.
the claws, right? Lady
Yeah, yeah,
Deathstrike.
yeah, yeah. The
Yeah,
Lady
yeah.
Deathstroke. Yeah, I think that's her name. And it wasn't the same actress. It was also the girl from X-Men Last Stand who's able to like teleport herself. I forgot what her name is, but it wasn't the same actress. So they had characters, but obviously with budgets, they couldn't get the actors, so whatever. Yeah, I remember when X-Men 2, X-Men United came out, like that was a big thing. They were building up Wolverine versus Lady Deathstroke, and now in this movie, it's like, oh, we get Deathstroke, but it's just not the same actress. So I don't know,
Yeah.
whatever. But okay, so I kind of want to pick up where you left off, where they're able to escape Cassandra, and they leave by the flying in a Sentinel leg, and then they land in some random ass spot in the void. They get to meet a variant of Deadpool, which is Ryan Reynolds. He talks to them about how like gives them directions to the Borderlands. I remember that.
Yes.
And then
Where he's
um,
explaining to them there, he's just like he mentions the Deadpool core where there's like hundreds of Deadpools, which is why he's another Deadpool there. He also talks about the Borderlands where there's other beings that have been avoiding Cassandra who are trying to get her out of there, but they're struggling essentially. So he explains to them who else is out there that's trying to do what they're trying to do.
lit.
They can hopefully team up and everything.
All right, let's get to it, bro. So they get to the fucking Borderlands, and we finally get to meet the fucking people that Ryan Reynolds tells Deadpool about. We also should mention that Dogpool gets introduced. That was
Oh,
cool.
cool facts. Yeah.
Dogpool was funny, but I want to get
Yeah.
to the shits. All right, man. So we get to the fucking lair. We get to fucking Deadpool and Wolverine. They're chilling. They're just talking, and then all of a sudden we get three fucking cameos, bro. And
Back to back. Four, actually. One they told us, but I'm still giving her credit. I'm still giving X-23 credit, bro.
oh, facts, 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 facts,
They,
facts, facts.
they, they robbed her, but I'm still giving her credit, bro.
Okay, so wait, when was X23 introduced in the movie? She
Remember, she found them after they had that insane 24-hour fight,
in the
which was
van. Okay,
crack. She's the
okay.
one who found the van and drove them to the
Got
lair.
it. Okay. And then now we finally get introduced to all these different cameos. We get introduced to the first one we get to see Elektra. We get to see Jennifer Garner, which okay, definitely two claps.
Yeah, facts, facts.
Definitely two claps. Jennifer Garner, beautiful, my boo, whatever.
Facts.
But the one after her, bro,
Yo,
dog, we get fucking Wesley Snipes
bro.
fucking Blade, bro. Are
Oh,
you fucking kidding me, dog? Yo, when I tell you I lost my shit in the theater when I saw him on screen,
bro.
talk to me.
But I tell you, it was one of the biggest pops ever in the theater, bro. Bro, when I said that shit was like damn near right behind Cap, bro, with the hammer, bro, the theater went crazy, bro. I saw like people from my peripheral standing up, bro. I almost got up. I hit Jeffrey dumb. I was like, yo, he looked at me. He's like, yo, come on, yo. Fucking Wesley Snipes, the coolest looking motherfucker, whether it was in the 90s, early to even now, 2024, the fucking Wesley Snipes with the white fucking goatee, bro.
Facts. So I was actually, so I actually,
Yo,
I actually kind of knew that Jennifer Garner was going to be in the movie because she did an interview for one of her movies that came out a couple months ago, and one of the interviews said something about Marvel, and she like the way she responded to it was horrible. She like stuttered. So
rookie.
I kind of yeah, I figured that Elektra was going to pop up somehow. So that's why I was like I was cool seeing her. But yo, did you have any indication? I had no idea that they were gonna fucking bring him back, bro.
Oh, zero. I didn't know about Electra, bro.
Oh,
I
thank
know,
thank God I didn't say anything in the group chat because I didn't
bro.
want to fuck that up for you.
I didn't know, bro, let alone fucking Wesley Snipes, bro. Wesley
Facts.
Snipes, bro. It's been
I
20 years, I think, bro.
the movie came out in 98, so it's been more than 20 years, bro.
And remember, he had his own trilogy where he first worked with Ryan Reynolds. And they had the joke.
Facts.
He's like, I don't like you. He said, you never did.
Yeah. Facts, yo, good
Because
fucking
apparently he
call.
didn't like him at all on this Blade trilogy, Trinity set.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
like
yeah.
the nods to that, but bro, fucking Blade walked through that door in slow motion, bro.
Yo, dog, I didn't even catch that. Thank you for mentioning that. I didn't catch that when he
Yeah,
said like I never liked you. And yo, I before we move on to the fucking third cameo that we see behind Blade, I still want to stay on Blade because the one thing that I want to talk about is before this movie, I never understood why they never acknowledged Blade. Blade was the first fucking Marvel character as far as like whenever Hollywood started taking superhero movies serious, It was Blade that started everything off. Everybody thinks that it was Spider-Man in 2002.
Huh? It was Blade,
No,
not even X-Men, bro. Not even.
exactly. And then X-Men came out right after Blade in 2000. So
Mhm.
Blade was the first one, bro. And I never understood why they never acknowledged it. And when I saw Blade, I lost my shit in the
Yo,
theater, bro. I
bro. To be honest, bro, you know Hollywood, bro, is like it's a. I hate to turn it into this, but I think too.
no.
It's he had a tough part of his career towards like before he went away for a while,
Yeah,
and he was Blade. They weren't gonna make him the face of the shit. So it was easier to just go the X-Men route, right? We still got Hugh Jackman, right? He's still around. He's still doing big things. So like it was just easier to pivot. And like there was really no one face because the fans very much so acknowledged Blade. Um
yeah.
Feige would acknowledge X-Men and Blade. I think he would mention Blade because he's just a super fanboy like us. But
Facts.
like when it comes to like the big, they not gonna bring a Blade, bro. But we kept him alive, bro. And to add another layer, bro, to what you're saying, bro, the reason Blade was the first one, bro, is because Wesley Snipes was fucking hot as fish grease in the 90s, bro.
At that
So
time,
it
yeah.
was the easiest face to put on a superhero once they got rights. So
Yeah,
give the man all the credit in the world for that shit, bro. Because
facts.
it could have been anybody else, bro. They could have used Spider-Man in the 90s. They could have used anybody. But because Wesley Snipes was him and they had Blade, yo, let's make Wesley Snipes Blade, bro. And it was the
Facts.
coolest shit.
Salute to Wesley.
Facts.
And
Goaded.
and everybody has like their moment in the movie, and I feel like besides Blade popping up in the movie, I feel like Blade's moment in the movie was when they're about to enter Cassandra's lair again as like for the final battle, and then Blade, what does Blade say? He's like, "There'll never be another Blade" or some shit like that. Obviously hinting at the whole Mahershala Ali. That movie is a fucking dumpster fire, by the way. Like I don't even know if that's ever gonna see the light of day.
I'm surprised he wasn't in the void at this point, bro. I love Mahershala Ali
Yo,
too, bro. Jesus, bro.
yo, yeah, that's a pod. That's a pod for another day. But
He's
okay, so dog, I'm gonna give you the
yo,
honor. I'm gonna give you the honors now again. Tell me,
yo,
tell me who was the cameo after Blade, my guy.
yo, son. This one, the way they did it too, bro. Fucking after Blade has his little moment, go back and forth with Blade. I mean, with Wade, a little item comes in the room, and I'm like, what the fuck is that? And it flips, you see it's a fucking card, bro. It's a card, and
Oh,
fucking
dope, son.
Shannon Tatum as Gambit, bro, with the whole suit.
The
Oh,
whole thing,
oh
bro.
my God, bro.
Not some like
The
knockoff.
fucking
Yes,
everything, bro. The chest piece, the boots, the fucking leather.
the fucking New
Oh my,
Orleans accent, bro.
yo,
My man went
oh
full
my,
method.
yo, that shit, bro. He stole the show for me, bro. He was fucking hilarious, bro.
So just to give the listeners and viewers a little bit of context, like obviously if you're listening to this
Yo,
episode, you're a big Marvel fan, so you know about how Channing Tatum was trying to get a Gambit movie off the ground for years and years, and then I think they were like about to start production, and then something happened and they pulled it last second, and
yeah,
then we
man.
we never got a really good iteration of Gambit. The only iteration we got of Gambit was fucking Taylor Kitsch and X-Men Wolverine, X-Men Origins Wolverine. I mean, I don't think it was bad. I don't think it was horrible, but it's just not what the fans wanted,
Right, right.
especially when we knew like Channing Tatum, like we found out that he was such a big fan of Gambit himself, and
Yeah,
he
bro.
followed the comic books, and then like we heard what he was gonna do with the story, and we were so excited for that, and then like we just never got to see it, which hence is why Channing Tatum's version of Gambit is in the void. But yo, honestly, man, yo, like you said,
Oh,
I'm gonna echo everything you said. Channing Tatum coming in the whole Gambit outfit with the black leotard thing underneath his fucking coat, the fucking
shit.
card, bro. That shit, yo,
Holy shit. It was no other way to do it, bro. Because everything you just said, like him being that fanboy, Gambit got announced with the first Deadpool, bro.
he was on
Gambit,
the cover of that fucking magazine. I think it was on
yes.
Hollywood Reporter, and he had a Gambit shirt. Yes, yes,
Yes, bro. They were
yeah.
like it was fucking Ryan Reynolds with Channing Tatum was up there, Hugh Jackman. That's when like they were doing, I think, Days of Future Past or something like that. It was
Yeah,
one of them.
I think so. I
Yo,
think so.
that's that's a while ago, bro. And like you said, bro, it was like in development, getting pulled back. We heard rumblings. it was very much almost like the Deadpool story. So it was only right that he ended up in a Deadpool movie. My man Ryan Reynolds came through once again, and we all knew nobody knew what he was saying, bro.
You took
So
the
like
words right out of my mouth, bro.
anytime he burned anything, the theater would just erupt because this and once Deadpool was like, yo, who's your dialect coach?
Yo, it was literally after everything Channing Tatum said. Everything after everything he said, Deadpool had a fucking joke. He had a little quip. And it's like, what the fuck are you saying? Who's your dialect coach? Did anybody
Yo,
understand that? Yo,
when he's
that
like, yo, what's your name? He's like, Gambit. But he's like, is that actually your name or is that something that never landed? Because yo, like he was joning on him, bro. It was just fucking perfect, bro.
yeah,
Perfect.
man.
Blade was the biggest pop, but the fact that we never got to see Shannon Tatum Gambit, like it was the perfect one to add right after Blade, bro. It was just oh,
In your theater, Blade was the biggest pop.
for sure.
Okay, so when I went to go see it, we're recording this on Sunday. I went to go see it on Friday. The biggest pop was actually Channing Tatum. Blade was behind Channing Tatum, but it's interesting how like in the different theaters, how when you're in New York, I'm in LA, so I don't know, but like it's just interesting how like the crowd that you were with, they went crazy for Blade, and then the crowd I
Yeah.
was with, they went crazy for Gambit. That's super interesting. But okay, so now we get some pretty big cameos in this movie, and within this scene, Deadpool and Wolverine, well, honestly, it's really just Deadpool because Wolverine is off in the corner and he's just drinking and he's basically just like telling everybody off. Deadpool
Hilarious,
is
yo. When he's
facts.
gargling the liquor, he
He
just
spits
yo.
it out. So Deadpool is talking to Elektra, Blade, and Gambit, and he's telling them, he's like, yo, if we actually stick together, like me and Wolverine, just us two, we were able to escape. But if we have all of us together with all of our skills, all of our powers, like we'll be able to take her down. And it's also fun. It's I should mention that when Blade, and when Gambit, when they enter the whenever they enter the room, Elektra mentions that there was because they're talking about Johnny Storm as well, and
Yeah.
they're like wondering, they're like, yo, where's Johnny? Like, have you guys seen Johnny? And Deadpool is basically lying to their face, and he's like, no, we haven't seen him. And that's a little bit of an inside joke of how like Deadpool is the reason why Johnny Storm got fucking ripped to shreds. But Elektra is
But it was
telling
a flesh wound. He said, I'm sure
Deadpool,
he's
flesh wounds, facts. But Elektra is telling Deadpool and Wolverine that there was like a whole bunch of them, and she mentions how Daredevil was one of them, how Ben Affleck's Daredevil was one of them,
man, bro.
but he didn't get to make it through. And then and then Deadpool looks at Elektra and he's like, "Oh, I'm sorry to hear that." And Elektra is like, "No, it's fine. It's honestly, it's okay. Don't worry about it."
That's
Dog,
another that's another play on the real life shit that he does so fucking well, bro.
it's fucking layers on layers on layers. But bro, but the thing is that what I think separates this one from part two, well, what separates this one from part one and specifically part two is that the layers that they add when they're talking about like real life shit, the relationship between Jennifer Garner and fucking Ben Affleck, how obviously they're co-parents, but they don't really get along. Dog, it just works, bro.
Yes.
It works, bro. Everything about this movie, the jokes and the layers that they add, it works good, bro.
Yes,
Unlike what they
bro.
did in part two specifically.
It's everything to your point, like there's layers. Everything is an entendre, bro.
Yeah.
Everything. It's like, yo, there's Daredevil, boop, but then there's the Ben Affleck piece, right? Like it's just so fucking layered, bro. And it's just like nobody likes Deadpool. Blade's like, I don't fuck with you. He's like, yeah, you never did like me. Like everything is just layered. And
Yeah.
even in the beginning, right? Like when he fucking digs up Logan's bones and he's pissed off. He's like, yo, he's actually fucking dead. And he's just
Yeah.
like, and he's talking to the audience. He's just like, it's all right. He'll come back for any big bucks. And he's like, me too, Hugh. Like he mentions his real name and everybody's just like cracking up. But it's just like it's in there and you know what he's doing, but it doesn't take you out of the movie because
Facts.
he's fucking Deadpool. He is that's literally him, bro.
This movie is definitely gonna look back on as like a fucking anchor as far as like
Yes.
switching up the roadmap for Marvel moving forward. It's like, okay, after Endgame, but before Deadpool and Wolverine, like it was like, okay, we tried out a bunch of shit, it didn't really work. But then Deadpool and Wolverine, we were able to figure it out. And now moving forward, it's like they kind of got their mojo back. But but going back into this movie, so okay, we're still in the same scene, and then Deadpool and Wolverine, Deadpool is really asking for Elektra, Gambit, and Blade. He's asking for their help in order to get back to Deadpool's timeline because he doesn't want to happen to his timeline what happened to Elektra, what happened to Blade, what happened to Gambit, what happened to the Wolverine that he's with now. He doesn't want to happen to his timeline what happened to all their timelines. So Elektra,
Right.
Blade, and Gambit, they agree. They agreed to go on this basically death mission is the way they're setting it up. But now
There's
we
a
go ahead, go
there's a
ahead.
part I really want to mention because I thought it
Okay.
was super important and done so well. Logan at the campfire, he's drinking, and
Mm,
23 comes up. It's
perfect.
such a huge piece of the movie. It's that, and right before they get into the car fight, where fucking Hugh Jackman cooks like never before, bro. His
Oh,
delivery, he's just like, fucking, he's just like, tuck, 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 tuck. And I was watching that shit today, and I'm like, holy fucking shit, bro.
when he's telling him that like you don't care about anything, you're a
Yes,
jackass. Yeah,
bro.
okay, okay,
He's
okay.
like,
Yeah,
she's
facts.
fucking right. Da, 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 bro. He was just, yo, the way he delivered that shit, he had the time of his life. For him to be able to do that, bro, now, after he like was retired from the shit, like that guy's a fucking stud, bro. But in that
Great point.
he's drinking, he's talking to Laura. He finally says what happens. He's like, yo, I went on a killing spree. I was a loner. It wasn't just bad guys. I was killing people. Like, and then the humans just took over and then they just killed all the X-Men. The reason I wear the suit, Scott would always ask me to wear it. Scott Hive, baby. Let's go Cyclops. Fuck out of here. Let's go. Love the Scott reference. He mentions Jean, he mentions Beast, Storm, but it like the fact that the suit had a story.
That's another element to the movie. Is like we always wanted to see Hugh Jackman in the Wolverine suit, but Marvel and Kevin Feige they knew that this what the suit meant to the fans. So like they didn't want to just throw Hugh Jackman into the suit just because. They had to add an element of a storyline as to why he's wearing the suit. And like you said, Wolverine is talking to Laura, and Wolverine is telling Laura that like Scott always wanted him to wear the suit, but Logan didn't want to because he thought that they looked ridiculous. He never really accepted himself as being part of the team. But then when the X-Men were all killed off, and we also find out that Logan was off drinking, being an alcoholic, and then when he
Mhm.
returned to the mansion, that he saw all of his X-Men friends dead, and like part of the reason why he wears the suit is to remind himself of the team. And bro, yeah, that scene, and also within that scene, Laura is telling Logan that Laura's Logan in her universe, he's a good guy. He's the reason why she is even able
Yep.
to have a
Yep.
life. And the Wolverine that Laura is talking to in front of her, he's not part of her universe. The Wolverine that Laura is talking to, he's having all this self-doubt. He doesn't think he's a good guy. He doesn't believe that he deserves life. So
Mhm.
that little conversation that Laura has with Logan, that's kind of the turning point for Wolverine as far as like joining the rest of the cast
Yeah.
as to like, oh, okay, there's a point to all this. Like, let me actually get my ass, let me get my ass up and let me help Deadpool out.
When she's saying like, "Yo, you remind me of him. He's a
Perfect.
hero," but to him internally, he's like, "Yo, I'm a piece of shit. Like everybody died over here." And when she walks away, he's like, "You got the wrong guy." She's like, "You always were." And
Mm.
then later in the story, where that line drops again in his head, and there's another piece that she says after that. She's like, you're always the wrong guy. I think until you're not, something like that, or like
I
you,
know, I think
but
you're right. I think you're right.
like, and it was just like that scene was so important, man, so
Mm.
important.
And now the whole team is together. Blade, Gambit, Elektra, Laura, Deadpool, and Wolverine. And dog, Gambit.
Yo,
We finally get to see Gambit in fucking action, bro.
oh my
That
God.
dog, and like I said a little earlier, I said like everybody in this movie had a little moment. Maybe I think Elektra even had a moment, whatever. But
Yeah, yeah.
fucking like Blade had a moment. Like I said, when they were about to enter Cassandra's lair and they had to blow up the front entrance right before he blew it up, that's when he said like, "Oh, there'll never be another Blade." That was his moment. And I feel like Gambit's moment is we get to see him fight. We get to see
Yes.
him use his powers and dog, I felt like if I'm remembering this incorrectly, please correct me. But I felt like it was like a one shot. I felt like it wasn't like cuts. We saw one shot of him just being in the battlefield, him using his powers with the playing cards. And dog, when I was watching that in the theater, I was like, oh my
Oh,
God.
that shit. Well, you know when they would pan out and you can see like everybody,
Right, right.
I would look for him.
You were looking for get
I would
oh
look
you
for him, bro,
love
because
it.
he had the fucking stat. I'm like, yo, what is Gambit doing? Because he threw like 4 separate cards, dipped out, did some other shit, pull out. He said, boom, bro. That shit was fire, bro. But yo, hold on, because it
That
might
shit was
it might
fire.
be my favorite line in the movie when they pull up and everybody's talking shit, and he goes, "You know how long I've been waiting for this? Woo! I'm about to make a name for myself."
Yo.
Yo, I was laughing for like 5 minutes in my just to myself at that shit, bro. I'm about to make a name for myself.
I love it, man.
Yo,
Yeah,
but
man.
damn it, bro. Even Laura had her moment with Juggernaut. Insane, bro. Like everybody, and like the only thing I could think of when that scene was happening, I was like, this is what I thought Doctor Strange was gonna be.
Mm.
This is what I thought Doctor Strange was gonna be, bro. And I'm so glad that they didn't fucking just waste all these fucking legendary characters and actors and fucking just kill them off like that.
You just reminded me of something. So I'm not sure if this scene happened already within the movie or it's a scene that's going to happen. But do you remember when Cassandra she pulls out the fucking the ring and she says that she got it from Doctor Strange?
Mhm.
So
An
my
amateur magician.
exactly. So my question is because I Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness, they
Mhm.
go into the void, and we get to see. I'm not sure if we get to see one variant of Doctor Strange or a couple of different variants, but I'm assuming that's who she got it from, one of the variants, right?
Probably,
Yeah,
yeah.
dog, that shit, golly, bro.
Yeah, that scene is actually in that same part when she finally went into Logan's head, and it was like just like all part of the plan. Like it was so well done, bro. And then just like the other legacy characters, just like looking at them jumping into the fucking ring. It
Right.
was it was like so heartwarming, bro. I was like, man, this isn't that cool, bro. Like, yo, we was little ass kids with all this shit, bro. I'm just like, look, they looking at like these niggas going back into their timelines and shit. It was just so cool, bro.
Yeah, that shit was crazy.
So
And
cool, man.
go real quick, going back to the whole when everybody's fighting each other and we talking about Gambit having his moment. Blade had a moment. Blade had a moment too. Blade had a moment where you get to see him like fuck up some dudes,
Yes,
and
sir.
it wasn't as spectacular as Gambit when he was like throwing the cards around and we get to see like the special effects. Blade, it was pretty like basic. It was just him using his sword cutting up people. But I wanted to mention that because
Yeah. I
it
mean,
just
when you think about it, it's fucking what, 50, 60-year-old Wesley Snipes still like being able to move and shit like that. He said
yeah.
it. I just saw like a little clip on Instagram, I think yesterday or earlier. He's like, it took a month. Like he had to work out to be able to do that. He's like, yeah, I took like a month before I went in and started filming because he's
Oh
like,
shit, I didn't know that.
getting older. I had to like get in shape, and he's like, some of the padding made him look better too. But he definitely had to like put in work in the gym to be able to do a lot of those things still. So he
Love
put in
it.
work, even that, bro. Like that's mad cool, bro. Like he got called back, he did it. He took time, still trained, came on, kicked ass. Like everybody had
Love
their
it.
moment. It was great, man. That shit was special, man.
Love it. Okay, so before Deadpool and Wolverine, before they jump back into their timeline, they have like a like you said, they have like a little well, Wolverine and Cassandra, they have a little moment, and Cassandra goes into Wolverine's head, and then Cassandra is basically she's trying to convince Wolverine to stay with her in the void.
Mm-hmm.
And Cassandra, one of the illest scenes is like when she's in the void with Wolverine and she's like talking to him, she's like on her knees, and then she's like, I could quiet all this noise down. And then everything in the theater is just fucking quiet as shit, and you literally
Yep.
just hear the dialogue between them two. And I was like, that scene was like it kind of showed you how powerful she was. And again, it just reiterates of just like how different things could have been. And I like the feeling of like, okay, the person, I like the villain in the movie to really feel like a villain. And
Yep.
that little subtle detail to me was just like it made me feel really good about the direction they went with the movie. But they ended up I not even defeating Cassandra. They ended up
Right.
like how would you say it? They ended up convincing her to let them go back into Deadpool's timeline, I guess.
That's a perfect word, convinced, because yeah, she finally was just like, you know what, like that's what y'all trying to do. Y'all let me rock. Y'all had me. Y'all was about to kill me.
Mm,
And I guess Logan really delivered, just like, yo, like if your brother knew about you, I loved what he's like, he would have ripped the
mm.
universe to come find you. And this was like that shit hit because we all know Professor Xavier, bro. And that's not the damn truth, bro. Like for some reason, I thought this was gonna be like the third act. So I was just like super hyped. I was like, oh shit, there's more. I was like excited as shit. Because that shit was fire. Like you think
Yeah,
that's peak, but then it just like keeps going. It doesn't
yeah.
like I don't think it goes higher. It depends, right?
I get what you're
I
saying.
think it stays
Yeah, I
peak.
get what you're saying. Yeah,
Like the
yeah.
peak just continues.
As far as like raising the stakes, yeah,
Yeah.
it doesn't go higher. It stays out, it stays at the same plane. And
Or even
fucking
just like the hype, right? Because like you
yeah,
get all these cameos, the action is fucking sick, and then
crazy.
it just, like there's more, and it's just like it doesn't like surpass what we just saw, but it doesn't dip.
Exactly.
It just like all stays consistent, and it just
Exactly.
becomes like more fun. But then they teeter between like this shit is getting real back to fun. And like big kudos to Ryan Reynolds in doing that. There was a lot of moments where he paused and he let it ride, like when him and Logan are in the car complaining and shit like that and fighting, and he
Mhm.
paused.
Oh, and yeah. He's like,
He's
I'm
like,
gonna fucking kill you now.
yeah. Like he had a couple of those moments. I think it happened in the layer too with the cameos. I think there was a moment where some people were like having and he let it ride out. Like so
Mm.
there was a lot of things I noticed today when I was watching. I was like, yo, he did his thing there, bro.
All right, so we see Deadpool and Wolverine jump back into their timeline, but we also see Cassandra jump into Deadpool's timeline as well. And towards the end of the movie, we see that Cassandra she kind of wants to basically prune or get rid of Deadpool's timeline. Am I remembering this
He
correctly?
wants to get rid of every timeline, every single one.
She wants to get every single timeline. Okay.
Time Ripper machine because she wants everything to go into the void where she controls everything. So,
Before we get that, we get an epic scene of Deadpool and Wolverine actually fighting against the millions of Deadpools that enter Deadpool's timeline.
yo,
Sick.
what did your crowd do when it happened? The moment where they come
Oh
forward,
yeah.
did they
Yo,
lose it?
nah, yeah, they went crazy. We went crazy. We went crazy. How about you guys?
Bro, both times, everybody. This time today, I started it. I'm like, fuck wrong with y'all? I'm like, yo, let's go. Come on, let's go.
It was funny because like it was in slow motion and he was like slowly pulling it up. So
Yeah.
in my theater, the first time, everybody when they saw him like put his hands behind it, I heard everybody was like, "What the fuck is he doing?" And then slowly, as he was putting it over his head, everybody was like, "Oh!" Everybody was going crazy.
Shit was elite, bro. Throughout the whole movie, I didn't think about the cowl.
Me neither.
Did not think about it. I knew that I wanted to see him with it. I knew that there was a part that he had it apparently, but I was like, oh, maybe they didn't
Yo,
put
I
it in the
totally
movie.
forgot about it as the movie was going on. I didn't care about the cowl. Like I just want just him seeing him in that suit. I was good.
But
But
they did it fucking right, bro. They made you forget about it, and they made it a fucking moment, bro. Oh my
facts,
god,
everything.
bro.
Perfect. But so yeah, so we see Deadpool and Wolverine fight the millions of Deadpool variants that enter Deadpool's timeline. And the funny thing is that all of them regenerate. So like they go through like a maybe like a 7 minute montage of going through everybody. And then like when they finish going through everybody, we see everybody start regenerating, which is funny because they'll never be able to beat all the Deadpools. And then we see then we see what's his boy's name? Peter?
Peter,
He
Peter.
Peter somehow becomes the hero. He gets all the variants to stop fighting the real Deadpool and Wolverine. So, but
Every every Deadpool has a Peter. That's why.
exactly. So that was a cool small little comedic moment. So then we finally get Wolverine and Deadpool going to go and stop Cassandra. And Paradox tells Wolverine and Deadpool that the only way they're able to stop them if they go into the basement and they basically I don't know how to explain this. They basically just yank the power source. I don't know.
Because it's like Adam and like matter or some shit like that.
Okay,
So
okay.
they were working separate. So he's like, you got to build a bridge between the two so they can kind of just disrupt and blow up the machine, essentially. Logan is like, yo, let me have this one, bro. Like, you got people to go back to.
Mm.
I got nothing. He's like, let me be the hero. And it's that shit again, bro. Because then when Logan's about to go in there, Deadpool hits him with the fire extinguisher and kicks him out. And he's like, yo, let me have this. They both want to mean something. They both want to,
Right.
and although two very different stories, they both want the same thing. And that moment like showed that, right? Like Deadpool couldn't reach the other side, and Logan fucking savage ass broke through the fucking door. The top of his suit fucking rips. This guy is fucking shredded, bro, and the mask stays on. That shit was sick, bro.
Yo, Hugh Jackman getting into shape to yo, he's been playing Wolverine for 20 years. Think about all the times he had to get into shape for every fucking scene, for every fucking movie. Dog, this guy is like, how the fuck is he doing
Bro,
it, bro?
if he comes back, bro, it's almost because he's about to be. It's about to be 25 years.
That's fucking crazy, bro. He was fucking ripped out of his mind. And
Dog.
I think within that scene where they're getting shocked by all the fucking shockwaves or whatever, they have I think there's a moment in that scene where they kind of like focus on his
Yeah,
abs.
yeah, yeah.
And
Because
Deadpool,
Deadpool looks at it.
yeah, Deadpool looks at his abs. Dog, his abs were fucking
Ripped, ripped,
insane, bro.
ripped,
But
bro,
but yeah,
ripped.
so they both have a moment and they're able to save the timeline. Paradox actually gets taken away by the TVA, and we get a cameo from I totally forgot the character's name, I totally forgot the actor's name,
Dang.
but
Yeah.
she's like a really big part in the Loki show. She's a TVA agent, so she has a nice little cameo talking to Deadpool and Wolverine, telling them how gracious they are, thankful, and if there's anything they can do. Which brings me to now the next portion of the podcast, which I want to talk about the questions that we have after this movie. So, within that scene, when the TVA agent is telling Deadpool and Wolverine that if there's anything they can do to help, Deadpool tells her, he's like, hey, there are some of my friends that help us get out of the void and come back into my timeline. Is there anything you can do to help them out to get out of the void? She looks at Deadpool and she looks at him and she's like, I'll see what I can do.
Right.
Which brings the question. We know moving forward, off of this weekend, Avengers Doomsday is going to be the next Avengers movie. And then after that, we got Secret Wars. In Secret Wars, there's this big rumor, and depending on the storyline, if they're going off the comics, they're bringing every fucking body together. All the OG heroes from 20th Century Fox, the first Marvel heroes from the first 10 years of Marvel, like they're bringing everybody together. And I'm assuming that they kind of left that little cliffhanger to start introducing older heroes so they can start implementing them into the storyline. Like, did you catch that? What is your feeling regarding that?
So when you were like, when we first watched it, and you were like, "Yo, I got questions," I had a feeling that that was one of the things, right? So there's one thing that I caught today because obviously the first time I'm just like, "All right, this shit was fire. I'm enjoying
Mhm.
it. It's wrapping
Mhm.
up." Bro, Laura is in the
Yes,
timeline.
yes, yes.
Laura is there.
I think the very final scene, Deadpool has all his friends together, Wolverine, Laura, Vanessa, all his other friends, and they have like a dinner or a birthday dinner. But yeah,
Yeah,
Laura, like you said, Laura's at the table, so she is able to escape the void. So what the
yeah.
fuck?
She got out the void. So there's something there, something there.
So
And like I
yeah,
thought all of them got taken by Elias when they jumped back into the timeline because Elias was coming through. So I was like, okay, maybe that was like because that's what they wanted. They wanted an ending. Like what I think Blade literally said that, like, yo, or Elektra, like we get our ending and you get to go back to your timeline. So but Laura's back. So
facts.
I, I don't know. I mean, it looks like she acted on it. Is it just Laura? Is it everything else? To your point, Secret Wars is happening, right? Do we bring everybody back? Do we bring certain people back? Because that if they bring everybody back, that budget's gonna be through the fucking roof. But I don't
Yeah, I
also don't
know.
want things to be shoehorned, although I don't think they will. They do a really good job whenever they piece things and bring people back. But yeah, bro, I got the same question. Like, because she didn't say because and I love how they did literally in the same like portion, the same dialogue where he's asking her like, "Yo, he lost everything. He lost all his people. Can we change that?" She's just like, "Change the
Oh,
past." She's
right, right.
like, the past made him who he is. That's how he helped you change. I was like, woof. In the theater, I was like, ooh.
Yeah,
So,
she's like,
and
we
then
can't
right
help you out
after
there.
that is when he asked her, like, yo, there's people in the void, like, and that one, she's like, I'll see what I can do. And then we see Laura. So, like, the way they just like
Mhm.
sealed up that plot hole potentially and like made it make sense with this and like everything had a meaning.
I think they're bringing him back, bro. I don't know about Blade, Electro, and Gambit. Maybe two out of the three, maybe one out of the three. And if
Right, right.
anything, I don't know exactly who it will be, but I think we're gonna see one of those three back. And
They
I
gotta
probably
bring Gambit back. I don't they gotta
that's what
bring Gambit and Blade, bro.
yeah, facts. Sorry, Jennifer Garner. Like, sorry. But yeah,
Facts,
definitely
bro.
Blade and fucking Gambit. But dog, another question that I had is something that we didn't talk about when we gave the summary of the movie. So when Paradox is explaining to Deadpool initially why they're recruiting him, Deadpool is in TV, he's in a TVA station, and Paradox is showing him like you could be a part of this, and he's showing him the different scenes through the first 10 years of Marvel history, right? We get to see Captain America, we get to see Hulk. But one of the fucking things that we see on the TV screen, we get to see Deadpool being held by Thor, and Thor is crying. And throughout the rest of the movie, that's kind of like a little right Deadpool kind of plays on that. Every time he's sleeping, he wakes up from a nap, he's basically telling the audience that he's having a nightmare of Thor because he's kind of seeing that it looks like he's gonna die.
Yeah.
So yeah, is that gonna happen? Like, is that gonna be something in Doomsday? Is that gonna happen? Is that gonna be something in Secret Wars, or is that something that you think they're just playing on?
I think it was a joke. But very much probably trying to tell that they're gonna like intertwine sometime in the future or something like that.
But I'm not crazy, right? Like, it looked like Deadpool was dying,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
bro.
Because
That
he kept asking, he's like, why is Thor crying? That shit.
yeah, he kept going back to it. He kept like the
He was
little
waking up like, God of Thunder.
he got it Thor. So fucking funny, bro. Yeah, so that's something else that popped out to me. Like
Yeah, yeah.
throughout the movie, I was like, okay, like that's in the background. Like I'm not saying they're setting up for it, but that's something the audience we got to keep in the back of my mind. It's
Yes.
like when are we gonna see that? And
It's
because I
definitely intentionally planted there. Like they
100%,
definitely did that
100%.
for a reason.
Yo, and now talking about this scene, it reminds me of another fucking scene of this movie that we didn't talk about. So when Deadpool is going through all of the different timelines looking for a Wolverine to help him out, you know what I'm about to say. The fucking timeline where he jumps in Wolverine fighting fucking Hulk
Oh my God, bro.
with the suit. Yo,
Yo, once I saw the suit, I was like, hold on.
yo,
And they
that.
show it, man, like on the claws, just like the comic books, bro. Oh man, bro.
And we see Hulk throw. We don't see Hulk's face, but we see like his body, and we see him throw Deadpool like into another timeline.
Yeah.
Yo,
I only see his face on the claws, right? You notice Deadpool did the Loki shit?
what do
He's
you
like,
do?
I am the god of Marvel, and that's what he
Oh,
gets shot.
oh, I didn't notice that.
Yeah, there was that shit was fire, bro. That
Yo,
shit was
that shit was
fire.
so fire.
It was a
And
great way to do like fan service, and especially like the fucking little Logan.
oh yeah, yeah, the very first Wolverine he meets, yeah, and the different timelines, like the midget Logan, yeah.
That's the comic accurate height, bro.
Right, exactly. Yeah, yeah. But yo, I don't. One of the things that when I was going on Twitter and I was trying to avoid spoilers, like I'm fucking Neo. One of the things that I saw, and I'm not saying this just to like add layers to the podcast. I'm telling you the truth when I say this. I forgot from what Twitter account, but I saw that there was a rumor going around that Marvel is actually working on a storyline, a movie of Hulk versus Wolverine.
I kind of saw that too. Yeah.
Okay, so and then we get this scene. I'm not sure, like, I don't know, bro. That there's just so many different fucking parts of this movie that's like that could be its own fucking podcast episode, and like how they can dive into that world. And bro, that shit
Yeah.
was crazy, bro. The whole Hulk and Wolverine, that was crazy.
Yeah, bro. I kind of got spoiled on that one.
Oh, really?
Yeah, like look, but I was super hyped for it still. I wish they showed like a couple like back and forth with them though, but they know how to show
Yeah,
like just enough for us to be like, yo, that was hype.
Oh, and also Henry Cavill. I wonder if that was like an actual thing. Did you ever hear any rumors of him being
So
in the process or something?
he's been fan casted a lot, like a lot of fans
Really?
like, yo, Henry Cavill. So it was very much like how they did Krasinski.
Yeah,
That's
John Krasinski. Yeah.
fantastic. Yeah, it was one of those.
When that scene popped up, like I never really heard about those rumors and I never saw those fan castings. So when I saw
Yeah.
him, first of all, he looked okay as Wolverine.
Yeah.
Two, I was wondering in the back of my mind, I was like, I wonder if this was like some internet thing that they just put it
Mhm.
into the movie.
We always talk about like potential recency bias and stuff like that, but I'm just thinking about like the plot and everything, and I'm just like, this it like the it might be his best performance because it was so much to
Mm,
it.
wow. Okay.
And it was a
And,
side that we hadn't seen. It was Logan without him kind of dying, right? Because in
right.
Logan, kind of it was this he lost everybody,
All right. Yeah.
right? So he was just getting old. And this one, he lost everybody, but he's not like dying or anything like that. So he kind of has to live with it. So he kind of had his redemption in a sense.
Mm.
But I think both, or maybe they're just both like living parallel from each other, but they're both so good. But I loved his performance in this one.
So
Loved it.
you think this is Hugh Jackman's best performance as Wolverine in all
It's
his performances?
not like by a long shot, but like I'm thinking about it and I'm
Right,
like,
right, right.
it's either right there for me or they just like they live parallel.
I hear you. So, okay, so the last portion of the podcast, I just want to talk about San Diego Comic-Con. So, like we said in the beginning of this episode, it seems like Kevin Feige and Marvel, they just planned everything out. The release of Deadpool and Wolverine going into Comic-Con. Now, going into Comic-Con, like I first of all, I didn't know it was Comic-Con this weekend. Second of all, I didn't know that Marvel was gonna have a panel, and I didn't know they were gonna have their own shit for Comic-Con. But I didn't know how epic it was gonna be, bro. So the biggest news, obviously, coming out of Comic Con is Robert Downey Jr. has been fucking casted as Doctor Doom, Victor Von Doom. And now that has raised a lot of questions. The one question that comes up to my in my mind is how are they going to explain the resemblance that Doctor Doom has to Tony Stark?
Mhm.
So when I initially saw the video, when I initially saw the announcement where Robert Downey Jr. took off the mask, which was fire, but that was my
Facts.
first question. So my question to you is, how did you feel about it? Are you for it? Are you a little like hesitant? Or are you just like, yo, let's fucking do this? Talk to me.
Let's fucking go. LFG.
Yeah.
I know he wouldn't come back if it wasn't something special. And the stories and the layers that this character can have because it's him can be fucking massive. And it's also like the best way for them to just continue this run that they're hopefully starting on with Deadpool and Wolverine, right? It's like
Facts.
getting that feeling back, restoring the feeling. That's like my theme for the weekend with Marvel. Like
Yeah.
that shit, like I was hyped. Like I was looking forward to San Diego Comic Con, see what they were going to announce. They haven't been there in 2 years. So
Mm.
I knew there was going to be Avengers news because them shits are 2 years away. And next year is only, we got 3 movies coming out next year. I'm like, they're not about to announce nothing because Blade keeps getting pushed back. And we kind of talked about the shows. Like, there's really no traction on there. They're gonna probably drop, but there's no really stake on them. They're Iger said they're dialing back on the
Yeah.
content, things like that. So, like, I know it was gonna be super focused on, yo, these are our movies. This is what's already in the works. This is some stuff for that. And this is what's down the pipeline. Let's get y'all amped up. But
Okay.
it says 3 movies next year, and then y'all get Avengers. So that's Cap, Thunderbolts, and Fantastic Four.
Okay. Okay.
So, and then remember too, like they had removed the title from Avengers 5 because Kang Dynasty. Um,
Right.
it did my
All
son
right.
dirty.
R.I.P. Jonathan Majors, man. Fuck,
Tight,
yo.
tight, bro, tight.
But we'll see, man. If Doomsday is a fucking Infinity War or Endgame, then I think we'll be okay. But of course, Jonathan Majors, like the momentum he was going on, I don't know, dog. I honestly, I don't know how to feel about it. Like
Eh,
seeing a minority on screen, being the leader of a fucking whole Marvel Universe storyline, I definitely wanted to see that. But we still live in America, bro. We still live in this fucking world where people are, depending on the color of your skin, like they're gonna be looked at you differently. So that's a different topic for a different day. But as far as Robert Downey Jr. as Doctor Doom, we were talking about this in a group chat yesterday. One of the storylines that's in the comic books is Doctor Doom turns into Iron Man, or Iron Man turns into Doctor Doom. It's one of those, it's vice versa, one of those. So I'm assuming that's the storyline that they're gonna go with, which only makes sense to get Robert Downey Jr., obviously.
Mhm.
So I guess I'm a little hesitant, but depending on the storyline that they use, depending on how they explain everything, I'm sure they'll be okay with. I'm sure they're gonna be good with it. Like one of the things that you sent in the group chat, you're saying that like they wouldn't do this if they knew exactly how to explain it to the audience. So I'm with you. I'm in your camp. And
Yeah.
the other thing that I'm thinking about Tom Holland and Spider-Man. I'm thinking that I think what they should do, they should really, really dive into that of Tom Holland seeing Doctor Doom, seeing the resemblance of Tony Stark and how that's really gonna fuck him up. That's
Yeah.
just something that I just thought about earlier today. And because that was like a small storyline in the Infinity War and in Endgame and how Spider-Man looked up to Iron Man. So it's just a lot, it's a lot of different ways you can go with this, bro. So
And the
at
thing
fir-
is too,
oh
like
yeah.
you mentioned that real quick, my bad. Remember
Oh,
in
you good.
well, he's dead, but in No Way Home, they wiped everyone's memory of him.
Oh right,
So
yeah.
that shit might play into that. Like, yo, he might have known me in another universe, but
Oh,
even now he doesn't remember me.
oh,
Like, like that. I just thought about that with you just saying that. Like that can
facts.
so it would be cool if they really lead into Spider-Man there and like kind of
Facts.
but I'm super excited to see how they do it, man. Like who would have thought like he went from being the fucking main hero. Now he's gonna be the big bad, and because he's in both too. Because this the recent Secret Wars, it was Doc Doom. He was the mastermind behind the shit. So, and they said he's in Doomsday and he's also in Secret Wars. So
Facts.
he's gonna be the Thanos pretty much of this shit.
Right, 100%. And also, s- Fantastic Four, they actually changed the name of the movie. It's actually Fantastic Four First Steps. And
Yep.
another piece of news coming out of Comic-Con is that Fantastic Four, they're going to appear in both Doomsday and in Secret Wars. So I kind of wanted to pick your brain a little bit about Fantastic Four because we didn't really get to talk about it. So the cast is Pedro Pascal as Mr. Fantastic, Vanessa Kirby as Sue Storm, Joseph Quinn, who was in the most recent season of Stranger Things, or that like rocker dude, I forgot his name, but he's gonna be Johnny Storm. And then I forgot the guy's name, but the
Yo.
brother of Jeremy Allen White in The Bear,
Mhm.
Eben Mock Moss, some shit like that. He's gonna be the thing. But
Yes.
anyway, just tell me your feelings about Fantastic Four. Like, what are your feelings about it?
They're a big part of Marvel, bro. Like
100%.
that's the what they call them, the first family, I think.
Yeah, I think the first Marvel
That's
family.
what they
Yeah,
call him. And Mr. Fantastic is one of the smartest beings in the universe, right?
right.
We saw that in Multiverse of Madness. Like that's constantly reiterated and stated. We got a universe where Tony Stark is no longer around, but they're in a different timeline, I think, because they're like in a futuristic 60s.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Insane. And then like they're bringing back um Robert Downey as Victor Von Doom, who's another mastermind. So like to see them clash, that's gonna be Pedro Pascal with Robert Downey. Looking forward to that. But I'm also just like really excited to see what Kevin Feige and them do with Fantastic Four because I don't think he had much to do with the other ones. Um, but the run that they've been on and seeing what they've done with Guardians, what they've done with team up movies and like
Yeah.
efforts, I think it's gonna be a really good movie. But also like the setting is just super interesting, and I want to see how they tie in the Fantastic Four to everything that's gonna end up happening in the Avengers movies.
Yeah, yo, so like as we're recording this, like I'm just thinking about the future of Marvel, and I don't know if this is like preemptive to say, but it kind of feels like the stakes are being raised because the villain of Fantastic Four is going to be Galactus. And they also mentioned that Silver Surfer is going to be in the movie as well. And these are very important characters to the Marvel universe and comic books, the storylines.
Hmm.
So I'm just like, and then we also got some news about Captain America, Brave New World, about Harrison Ford. He's gonna be the Red Hulk. I just feel like they're really like they're ramping it up with all these different movies and like the storylines that they're gonna be talking about. And I'm just really wondering like how they're gonna bring it all together in the Avengers movies. And Yeah, man. I mean, it seems like they're really trying to, like you said, they're really trying to restore the feeling. And based off of Deadpool and Wolverine, based off all the news that's come out of Comic-Con, like it seems like Kevin Feige is really doing his shit right now. So,
Deadpool ragged on them too, where he's like, he told Wolverine, he's like, "You're coming in at a bad time, but it's
oh
okay."
yeah, 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 yeah. You're coming in at a low point, I think you
Oh
said.
boy,
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah. So like
Uh,
it's there. So they're aware of how we feel about
100%.
state of their movies and their content and their shows and things like of Marvel Studios. They're aware. They've acknowledged it and they're committing to like bringing the feeling back. So
They also talked about Thunderbolts,
my
Winter,
baby's in there.
yeah, your girl, who I think is whatever. But Winter Soldier. What's her character's name?
Yelena.
Yelena,
Yep.
Ghost from the Ant-Man movies. She's gonna be in it. David Harbour as fuck. What's his character's name? I forgot his name.
Red Guardian.
Red Guardian. So it's kind of like the Suicide Squad for Marvel. It's like the bad villains, but they team up together for a good cause.
So
Um,
apparently they said so they I was listening in on some people who were getting updates.
yeah.
They said they all get hired for the same mission, but separately. So they don't know that they're all doing the same mission.
Mm, interesting.
Yeah, it's super interesting. And they're like, Kevin Feige said it's Thunderbolts with an asterisk. But he's like, you're gonna find out what the asterisk is when you watch the movie.
Oh yeah, because that's like the asterisk is in the actual fucking title, is in like the graphic, right?
Hmm?
The future of the MCU is definitely bright, and we got to bring it back to Deadpool and Wolverine. This, like I said earlier in the
Facts.
episode, I feel like this is going to be the tent pole as far as like after Endgame, but before in Deadpool Wolverine, how that little time period was kind of whack. But then Deadpool and Wolverine is what started it back up again, and now we're gonna get all these different. We're gonna get all. Everything's gonna start ramping up, bro. So with all the shows coming out and the movies, like you said, three movies coming out next year, so we're gonna see how well the MCU is gonna be able to ramp things up.
And that's thanks to the 20th Century Fox thing, everything timing, bro. The way they did it, and it's very much like that Deadpool movie. Even Ryan Reynolds said it. He said, this is like us thinking and saying farewell to 20th Century Fox. It was like that was a big part of what the MCU was able to do.
I mean, the ending credits of the movie, they had a whole fucking video montage of everybody, even the Miles Teller Fantastic Four, Michael B. Jordan, like
Yep.
everybody, the original X-Men,
Yeah.
the original Fantastic Four with Jessica Alba, like they had fucking everybody in that video montage. But
Yeah.
yeah, man. So we'll see what happens in the future. I'm definitely back pumped. I'm excited. But
Facts.
but guys, that's it for today's episode. I want to say thank you so much for checking it out. If you're listening to this on any of the podcast streaming platforms, Apple, Spotify, Amazon Music, please remember to rate, review, and subscribe. If you're watching this on YouTube, if you're watching Rainer and I, hit that thumbs up, subscribe to the channel. My guy Rainer, I want to say thank you so much for joining me on this episode. We got to catch up more, man. We got to talk more about movies. There's a bunch of movies that I want to talk to you about. If you want to let everybody know where they could reach you, if they want to slide into your DMs talking about Marvel news, where they could reach you, my guy.
Yeah, so I'm on X, formerly known as Twitter, or if Twitter, if you still call it that. Breeze Riches, and I'm also on Instagram, Breeze Riches. Find me there, hit me up, let's chat. I'm always looking to learn more about these things and just kind of geek out as Daryl and I do on here. Whatever you do, still subscribe to Time Flies, baby.
My fucking guy. Yo, Rainer, again, man, thank you so much, man, for joining me on this episode. I love talking Deadpool and Wolverine and how you just said we just geeked
Nice.
out. This is like you said, restoring the fucking feeling, man. MC in one movie, in one fucking
Yeah,
movie, they restored the feeling.
bingo.
And
Insane, bro.
now there's so much optimism moving forward. But
Facts, bro. Facts. I'm about to make a name for myself.
shout out Channing Tatum. But guys, we'll check you out on the next episode of the Time Flies podcast. Peace.